Defending Nicene Trinitarianism is like finding your way back to land on the waves of a storm. Such an illustration is fitting in our century, situated as we are on this side of modern theology. However, the illustration itself originates from Church Fathers, who first defended Nicene Trinitarianism on those stormy seas between Nicaea of AD 325 and Constantinople of 381. In the wake of Arianism, the task was as frustrating as it was dangerous, since the Church Fathers did not always know the outcome. Such uncertainty led to moments, sometimes even decades, of pronounced despondency. For example, Basil of Caesarea once wrote a letter to Athanasius expressing his despair. No stranger to exile, Athanasius knew the feeling. The letter is revealing because it was written either in AD 371 or 372. Even by the 370s, Basil still struggled to muster hope as he evaluated the current state of Trinitarianism. In the darkness of the subordinationist storm, like a sailor lost at sea, Basil called on Athanasius to be his captain. Perhaps Athanasius could acquire the Lord's attention and summon the eternally begotten Son himself to calm this raging wind and sea so that the Church might find its way back to the land of the Trinity. When I turn my gaze on the world and perceive the difficulties by which every effort after good is obstructed, like those of a man walking in fetters, I am brought to despair of myself. But then, I direct my gaze in the direction of your reverence. I remember that our Lord has appointed you to be physician of the diseases in the churches, and I recover my spirits and rise from the depression of despair to the hope of better things. As your wisdom well knows, the whole church is undone, and you see everything in all directions in your mind's eye, like a man looking from some tall watchtower. As when at sea, many ships sailing together are all dashed one against the other by the violence of the waves, and shipwreck arises in some cases from the sea being furiously agitated from without, in others from the disorder of the sailors hindering and crowding one another. What capable pilot can be found in such a storm? Who is worthy to rouse the Lord to rebuke the wind and the sea? Who but he who from his boyhood fought a good fight on behalf of true religion? Basil called on Athanasius to steer the ship home, but Athanasius died on the raging ecclesiastical seas that tormented Basil not long after Basil wrote this letter. Athanasius did not live long enough to see Constantinople, though we can imagine his pleasure at its resiliency and eventual triumph. After decades of exegetical labor, Athanasius would have been relieved if he had lived long enough to read the Creed's reaffirmation and expansion of Nicaea.